Hi, welcome to my Visual C++ slideshow. Um, in completing this project, I've used a label, that's it right up there as the title, and a group box, a picture box, two buttons, one checkbox, and five radio buttons. If I click on the first radio button right here, what you see is one of my images from my previous tutorial. And the same thing, the second button, the third, the fourth, the fifth. All of the images used in the development of this slideshow belongs to me in my previous tutorial. I believe you guys may have seen all of these images before. Most of them were developed, or all of them were developed using Flash. Okay, if I now click on the next button, what you see is the image goes to the next and the next and so on. If I decide to click on the previous button, the same functionality repeats itself. I can choose to click on the show slide, which is right underneath here. What you see is the images will slide automatically. Okay guys, I believe you'll be interested in that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take you into the Visual C++ development environment and actually show you how this very system was developed. Hi, welcome back guys. So now I'm going to start the slideshow. This time around I may have to call it a slideshow 2, and I've selected my Visual Studio, so I'm going to click on OK. And now I'm within the development environment. The next thing I will do is get a picture box on board. So the picture is there. Now let me get a group box, enter a group box right there. Brilliant. So I will now change the back color of this group box. Let's change that to something a little bit darker. Yeah, that's fine. And just get rid of this content. Well, I've now added a label right there. So the next thing I will do is to now add radio buttons. So I'll add it to where you guys can see it. Okay guys, I now have 5 radio buttons in place, 2 buttons, 1, 2, and 1 checkbox. I also have a timer on the system now. That's it right there. Hope you guys can see the timer. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is get rid of the content within each of these radio button, because I don't really need it. Repeat the same thing here. Well, I now have my component positioned, and I've also included a name for this checkbox right here, but you guys won't be able to see it because the font is white. I'll make that visible as soon as I change the background. However, you can always see it right here. It's called show slides. So let me just click on the form and change my back color to black so that you can see the font. Let's change it to black, and there we go guys, that's it right there. So the next step is to double click on the form and start and declare the variables that I intend to use. I'm now within the coding environment, so I'm going to just enter iPicture. Okay, I declare that as a char, and I need one integer, I slide. Okay, and that's all. Those are the only two variables I need. So on my form load, I will now disable all of the radio buttons. Radio button. Okay, I'll now copy and paste for the other radio buttons. Just process speed up, and I will comment out this variable. I might not need it, but then let me go into where I save all my images, which is right here. I will now copy all of these images, copy and paste it right inside the Slideshow 2. Okay, click on the second folder in it and paste all of the copied images, which I will now refer to. Program, I don't need this anymore. Okay, so I'm back in the programming environment. The next thing is to double click on my my radio button 1. Okay, click on the radio button 1 and use an if statement if radio button 1 is clicked. Okay, and then picture box 1 images, an image right there equals image. So what I'm actually saying now is for the system to locate the images, to find the image that I intend to use. So those are the image. One of them is called Street 1. Like I said, all of these images are from my previous tutorial, so you guys can also develop your own image. So I will now increment my slide, or sorry, I will allocate a value to my slide. That means the slide in this case is 1. So I've copied my first line of code for the radio button, which I will now paste in the code view of the other 4 radio buttons. Sorry. Well, I've completed the coding for all of the radio buttons. So that's radio button 2 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's just run the program and you guys see how the first stage of the slides work. So that's just the code for the buttons. You guys can see that. That's how it works for the radio buttons. The next and previous button and the check button are not programmed yet. So let's go into the coding area and get out of the way as well. I'm now within my button 1, which is the next button. Okay, so what I'll say is I slide equals I slide plus 1. I will now use an if statement if I slide is greater than 5, I iSlide plus equals 1. Okay, so close the, open up the, add a curly bracket to it. Then the next thing is to enter the switch statement for iSlide. Alright, another curly bracket to open that up. Then case 1, I say I slide equals 1, and I need a picture of the location of the picture box. Let me get that up here, which is right up here. I need the very first one, copy, and just paste that right here. All I need to do is change the picture number to 1. Okay, that's the location of the picture 1. At the same time, I might as well get my radio button checked, equals true. And we need a break right here. Break. So what I do is just copy, paste. So that will be 2, 3. iSlide becomes 2 here, and here it becomes 3. Radio button 1 becomes 2. Picture becomes 2. And just repeat the same thing for the other lines of code. So that is that done. Number 4, and number 5, case 5 on board, 5, 5, 5. And now we now need to close our brackets. Well, at this very point, I think it's advisable to run this program. So I would now run it. So that's the program running. So let's try out the next button. Can you guys see that? So we are actually moving with the next button, and the radio buttons, everything is working as expected. So the next thing that is not working yet is the previous button and the show slide. So let's get that out of the way. With the show slide, I will set my timer interval to about, let's say, 500, and now double click on the show time. Okay, and I am within the checkbox now, so I will now use an if statement to enable my timer. So timer 1, enable equals true. Else enable equals false. Good. That is that done. So to get my timer working, I will copy the code, all of the code inside my first button, which is right here. All I just need to do is copy and paste it inside the timer itself. Double click on object timer. Once inside object timer, paste the code right inside object timer itself. I believe you guys can see that, or you can just call it. Well, I've just pasted it, so that's fine. Okay, so we will now go to build and just try. Well, the program is now running. I've started debugging the program. I will now click on the checkbox that will trigger up the timer. You can see the system is working. The slideshow is working on its own. So the last activity is just to program this very button right here. So let's go back into our development area or into the coding area. I am now inside the previous button. So paste the code, and all I've just done is change the following. Look at that, guys. So I now say if iSlide is less than or equals to 5, iSlide instead of the plus sign becomes -1, and I just reverse the whole process. Instead of case 1, that becomes case 5, 4, 3, 2, and so on. So I will now compile the program because it's the end of this program, build it up and run the program. So the program is now running. Use the next button all the way. Now use the back button. Next button and the back button, guys. You see that? So that's how this program works. And let's click on the auto slider. You see that works as expected as well. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna call it a day. If you guys want the code for this program, all you have to do is to go to the description area of my YouTube, click on the link that will take you to a link that leads to where the whole code is stored. Send me an email and I'll send you the codes. Have a nice day, guys.